What holds you back after 70 may not be what you expect. It's often about letting go. Over time, we collect things that no longer serve us. Objects, habits, beliefs, and carry them long past their usefulness. And by the time we reach our 70s, some of those things aren't just unnecessary, they're heavy. They weigh on our mood, our health, our relationships, and even our ability to enjoy life in the moment. This video isn't about cleaning out your garage or organizing your closet, although we'll touch on that too. It's about something deeper. These are 7 things that many people carry into their later years without realizing how much they're costing them. And once you let them go, what's left behind isn't loss. It's freedom. These aren't just theoretical suggestions. Each of these 7 items is based on real patterns seen in older adults who either thrive or struggle in their later decades. And as simple as they may seem, the impact of releasing just one can be life-changing. So if you're over 70 or getting close and you feel stuck tired, or just not as light in spirit as you once were, this may be exactly what you need. Let's explore the 7 things to throw away after 70 and why doing so might just be the best gift you ever give yourself. Stay with me to the end because the final item is something very few people talk about, but it's the one that brings the most peace when you finally let it go. Number 1, the guilt of saying no. There comes a time in life when your time, your energy, and your peace become your most valuable resources. And by the time you reach 70, protecting them should no longer be something you apologize for. Yet so many older adults still carry a quiet burden with them every time they turn down a request, cancel a plan, or simply choose rest over obligation. That burden is guilt. And if you want to experience more freedom in your later years, it's time to throw that guilt away. This doesn't mean becoming selfish. It means becoming selective. It means finally giving yourself permission to prioritize what matters most to you without constantly explaining yourself. For decades, many people, especially those who raised families, built careers, or cared for others, have been conditioned to say yes out of duty, politeness, or fear of disappointing someone. But at this stage in your life, you've earned the right to honor your own boundaries. Think about someone like Carol, 74. After her husband passed, she found herself being pulled into every church event, family gathering, and neighborhood committee. Not because she wanted to, but because she didn't want to seem ungrateful. She said yes to everything, even when it left her exhausted. It wasn't until she quietly declined a weekend trip and spent that time painting alone in her kitchen, something she hadn't done in years, that she realized how little space she'd left for her own joy. Saying no is not a rejection of others, it's a recognition of yourself. And in truth, most people understand far more than we assume. When you say no with kindness and clarity, you're not pushing people away. You're setting the terms for a more honest connection. You're showing them what you truly need to stay healthy, peaceful, and present. This kind of boundary also models something important for the next generation. When your children or grandchildren see you taking care of your time and energy, they learn that it's okay to do the same. They learn that life after 70 doesn't have to be about constant obligation. It can be about intentional living. Of course, there will still be moments when you want to say yes. And when you do, you'll know it's coming from a genuine place, not a sense of guilt or pressure. That's the beauty of learning to say no without shame. It makes your yeses mean more. So if you've been carrying the guilt of saying no, it's time to put it down. Let it go. You've spent enough years meeting everyone else's needs. This chapter is about meeting your own and trusting that the people who care about you will understand. Number 2, outdated medical supplies and prescriptions. It's easy to overlook them. They sit quietly in bathroom drawers, kitchen cabinets, or hallway closets. Old pill bottles, expired ointments, leftover antibiotics, half-used prescriptions from years ago. But as harmless as they may seem, keeping outdated medical supplies around after 70 can actually pose real risks. And clearing them out isn't just about tidying up. It's about protecting your health and giving yourself peace of mind. When medications expire, they don't always lose potency in predictable ways. Some become less effective. Others can actually degrade and become harmful, and even if they're safe, taking the wrong dose or confusing. One medication for another can cause serious side effects, especially if you're managing multiple conditions. At this stage in life, even a small mix-up can lead to big consequences. Let's take Bill, 81, who had a history of heart issues. One afternoon, he reached for what he thought was his blood pressure medication, but accidentally took an old prescription for pain. Management that had been left in the same container. It wasn't intentional. It was just a matter of packaging, labeling, and mental fatigue. He spent the next day in the emergency room, something that could have been avoided if the expired meds had been tossed years earlier. And it's not just prescriptions. Think about old thermometers that don't work properly, bandages that have lost their adhesive, creams that have long passed their shelf life, even supplements that you no longer take but still store out of habit. These items clutter your space and complicate your decisions. In a moment when you're not feeling well, you need clarity, not confusion. The fix is simple but powerful. Go through your cabinets. Look at expiration dates. If it's expired, throw it away safely. Ideally at a pharmacy that accepts old medications. If it's unlabeled or unclear, don't take the risk. If it's something you haven't used in over a year and don't plan to use again, it's likely time to let it go. Keep only what's current, clearly labeled, and truly relevant to your ongoing care. You'll be amazed at the sense of calm this brings, because when your body needs attention, the last thing you want is a shelf full of chaos. You want a clean, organized space where your medications and supplies reflect exactly where you are today, not where you were years ago. Doing this also gives your loved ones peace of mind. If they ever need to step in and help you with your medications or emergency care, they'll know they're working with accurate, updated information. That's not just responsible, it's a gift. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 3, negative self-talk. You wouldn't let a stranger stand in your living room and insult you day after day. Yet for many people after 70, a quiet, persistent voice inside does just that. And it's been doing it for years. It says things like, "You're too old to try that. You've made too many mistakes. No one really needs you now." This voice is not wise. It's not helpful. It's not your conscience. It's negative self-talk. And if you want to feel lighter, freer, and more alive in this chapter of your life, it's time to throw it away. This voice often takes root over time. Sometimes it begins in childhood, shaped by harsh words or impossible expectations. Sometimes it comes from past failures or regrets that we never fully released. And often it's reinforced by a culture that whispers, "You're past your prime once you hit a certain age." But here's the truth. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean it's true. And just because you've thought it 100 times doesn't mean you need to keep thinking it now. You have lived long enough to know that growth doesn't end at 30, 50, or even 80. Every year brings its own form of becoming. And yet, negative self-talk keeps you from seeing that. It robs you of motivation. It steals your joy. It isolates you by convincing you that your struggles are proof of failure rather than part of the human condition. Think of someone like Edna, age 78. She always wanted to learn piano, but every time she looked at a keyboard, that voice said, "You'll never be good at this. It's too late to start." For years she believed it, until her granddaughter, aged 10, asked her to learn a song with her. They started with one note at a time, and now they play together every Sunday. Not because Edna silenced the voice once and for all, but because she stopped letting it drive her decisions. The first step to discarding negative self-talk is noticing it. When you catch yourself thinking something critical, ask, "Would I say this to someone I love? Would I say it to my best friend? If not, why am I saying it to myself? Challenge the narrative. Replace it with truth. Like I've made it through hard things before. I bring value even if I move slower now. I still have things to give, learn and enjoy. And if you're surrounded by people who reinforce those negative beliefs, gently consider whether those voices need to stay in your life. Protecting your mind is just as important as protecting your body. That might mean limiting time with those who drain your confidence, or investing more in those who see your strengths and speak to your potential. You've spent years becoming who you are, and every wrinkle, every scar, every story along the way has value. Your inner dialogue should reflect that. It should honor the strength, wisdom, and resilience that come from living a real life, not a perfect one. So the next time you hear that voice telling you, you're too old, too slow, too late, talk back. Reminded that you're still here, still growing, still becoming, and that the best version of you isn't behind you. It's still unfolding one choice at a time. Number 4. Clutter that ties you to the past. There's nothing wrong with holding on to a few precious things. Your spouse's favorite book, a sweater that still carries a familiar scent, a photograph that says more than words ever could. These objects aren't clutter, they're memory keepers. But over time, it's easy to cross a line without realizing it. Closets fill with clothes that haven't been worn in 20 years. Cabinets overflow with holiday dishes never used. The basement becomes a museum of old electronics furniture or hobbies you gave up decades ago. And suddenly, you're not preserving your past. You're trapped in it. At first, you might not even notice the weight. It's just stuff. It's tucked away. But it takes up space not just in your home, but in your mind. It makes it harder to move freely, think clearly, and breathe easily. Every drawer you open, every shelf you dust, becomes a reminder, not just of what once was, but of all the decisions you postpone. Should I keep this? What if I need it? What if someone else wants it someday? These questions become emotional quicksand, pulling you back again and again. Think of Leonard, age 80, who kept every tool he ever owned in a shed behind the house. Some were rusted. Others hadn't been touched since the 1990s. They reminded him of his working days. The garage he built with his brother, the pride of fixing things himself. Letting go felt like letting go of his identity, until one day, his grandson asked to help clean out the shed. They went through every drawer together. Leonard told stories, passed down a few favorite tools, and let the rest go. What remained wasn't just a cleaner space, but a sense of peace and a new kind of connection. Letting go of physical clutter doesn't mean erasing your history. It means curating it, choosing what truly reflects who you are and want to be, rather than holding on out of habit, fear, or obligation. And when you clear that space, something else shows up. Energy, focus, even joy, because you're no longer fighting through the noise of the past to find your way forward. Start small. Ask yourself, do I use this? Do I love this? Does this help me today? If the answer is no, then you're not throwing it away. You're releasing it. You're making space for the life you have now, not just the one you used to live. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Often going through old belongings with a friend or loved one turns into something more meaningful than you expected. It becomes a moment of sharing, remembering, and honoring without the burden of carrying it all alone. Let your space reflect your present, not just your past. Because every day you wake up is a chance to live more freely, more intentionally, and more lightly. And it starts with what you choose to keep and what you finally choose to let go. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 5. The belief that new friendships aren't possible. Somewhere along the way, many people start to believe that friendship is something that only blossoms in youth, that after a certain age, it's just too hard to make new connections. The people you once knew have moved away, passed on, or drifted out of reach. Your routines have changed, your circles have shrunk, and before long, the voice in your head begins to say, "It's too late now." But that belief that new friendships aren't possible is one of the most damaging things to carry with you after 70, and it's time to throw it away. The truth is, loneliness isn't a natural part of aging. It's a signal. It's your spirit telling you that connection still matters, that your heart hasn't retired, even if your career has, that your need to laugh, to share stories, to be seen and heard, that hasn't disappeared with the passing years. It's still alive, and it's still possible to meet someone new who makes you feel understood. It might not look like it did in your 20s. You probably won't bond over dorm rooms or dance halls, but you might connect over gardening or books or grief. You might find a friend in the person who sits next to you at the community center, or the neighbor you've only waved to until now. You might meet someone through a class you take, a group you join, or a cause you care about. And it might take time. But every friendship that ever mattered started with one thing, a small moment of openness. Take Paul, 75, who moved to a new town after his wife passed. He didn't know anyone. For weeks he barely left the house except for groceries. Then one day he signed up for a weekly watercolor class at the library. Not because he loved painting, but because he needed to be around people again. That's where he met Judith, who'd also lost her spouse. They began to share rides, then coffee, then pieces of their stories, and slowly the ache of loneliness started to soften. It's not always easy to put yourself out there again. Vulnerability can feel harder with age, not easier. You carry more memories, more losses, more self-doubt, but you also carry more wisdom, more patience, and more to offer than you realize. You have stories someone else is waiting to hear. You have a kindness someone else needs. You have humor, insight, and a presence that can make another person's life better just by showing up. Don't let the past convince you that connection is behind you. Don't let fear keep you from reaching out. Even if you've been hurt, even if you've been disappointed, there are people out there who will meet you right where you are. No performance required, no pretending necessary, just your real, honest self. Throw away the belief that friendship is something you grow out of. Because the truth is, it's something you grow into deeper, slower, richer, with every year you live. And sometimes the most meaningful bonds are the ones you never expected, formed at a time when you thought your heart had already learned all it could. Number 6, expired goals that no longer serve your life. There's a quiet kind of pressure many people carry into their later years. A list of goals they never reached, dreams they never fulfilled, expectations they never lived up to. And even at 70 or 80, that pressure can linger. It sounds like I was supposed to write that book. I should have gone back to school. I never did start that business. These thoughts sit in the corners of your mind, taking up space like unopened mail. But here's the truth. Not every goal was meant to be permanent. Some were only meant to guide you for a season. And after 70, one of the most freeing things you can do is throw away the ones that no longer fit your life. This isn't about giving up. It's about letting go of the weight of outdated expectations, especially the ones that were never truly yours to begin with. Some goals were handed to you by others. Some were shaped by your circumstances at the time, and some were rooted in who you used to be, not who you've become. Holding on to them too tightly can make you feel like you're falling short, even when you're exactly where you need to be. Think of Ruth, 79, who spent decades believing she needed to travel the world to feel accomplished. It was something she'd always said she would do when she retired. But life had other plans. Her health changed. Her finances changed. And for years, she felt like a failure for not booking that ticket. Until one day, sitting with a cup of tea and a friend on her front porch, she realized what she really wanted wasn't stamps in a passport. It was Story's beauty connection, and she already had that right where she was. Letting go of expired goals isn't about settling, it's about realigning. It's about asking what matters most to me now. What gives me joy in this season of life? What kind of legacy do I want to build? Not out there, but right here. And when you ask those questions honestly, you might discover that your real goals have shifted. Maybe now your goal is to enjoy your morning slowly, to mentor someone younger, to write a letter to each of your grandchildren, to volunteer to learn a new skill, or simply to be present with the people who love you. None of that means your past ambitions were meaningless. They served you. They stretched you. But if they no longer fit the shape of your life, it's okay to lay them down to honor what they taught you and make space for new intentions, ones that reflect your current needs, your current strengths, your current joy. You are not the same person you were at 40 or 60, and that's a beautiful thing. Growth means change. Change means reassessment, and reassessment means permission to shift your focus, reimagine your future, and release anything that no longer supports your peace. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 7, the fear of death. Of all the things people carry into their 70s and beyond, this one might be the heaviest. Not because it's loud or obvious, but because it's so often hidden, tucked behind jokes, deflections, or uneasy silence. The fear of death is something many of us feel, but few of us speak about openly. And yet it colors so much of how we live. It makes us anxious about our health, hesitant to plan for the future, and unsure of how to talk about what we need or hope for. But after 70, one of the most profound acts of emotional freedom is this: to throw away the fear of death, not by denying it, but by making peace with it. This doesn't mean you won't feel afraid. Sometimes you will. That's part of being human. But fear doesn't have to run your life, and it certainly doesn't have to define your final years. What you may discover is that once you stop avoiding the topic, it starts to lose its power over you. Talking about death, thinking about what matters most, making plans for how you'd like to be remembered. These things don't bring despair. They bring clarity. They bring peace. Consider James, 83, who avoided writing a will for years. The very idea of it made his chest tighten. But after a health scare, his daughter gently brought it up. They sat down together. He made his wishes known. He chose his words carefully, and afterward he felt something unexpected relief. He said, "I thought it would make me feel closer to death, but it actually made me feel more alive. I finally felt ready to enjoy my time without all that worry hanging over me." Letting go of the fear of death is not about pretending we're invincible. It's about recognizing that life has always been uncertain and always will be. But within that uncertainty, we still get to choose how we live. We get to choose to be present, to make our days count, to express love freely, give generously, and laugh without hesitation. We get to talk to our families about our values, our memories, and even our hopes for the days after we're gone. And we get to remember that death is not the opposite of life. It's the partner of life. One gives meaning to the other. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing to face the truth with honesty, to prepare with courage, and to live with intention. When we release the fear of death, something remarkable happens. We stop watching the clock. We stop clinging to what we can't control. And we start seeing each moment, each relationship, each sunrise, each quiet cup of tea as a gift. So take a breath, look around you, and let yourself live not in spite of death, but with full awareness that your time is precious, your presence is powerful, and your life right now is still unfolding. Final thoughts. As we wrap up this video, I hope you take a moment to reflect on these 7 things, not with guilt, not with pressure, but with curiosity and compassion. Which of these are you still carrying? Which ones are you ready finally to set down? Throwing something away after 70 isn't about loss. It's about space. Space for joy. Space for peace. Space for what still matters. Whether it's guilt that's kept you saying yes when you wanted to say no, clutter that ties you to a past you've already lived, or quiet fears that whisper you're too old to begin again. Each of these can be released, and with every release comes a little more lightness, a little more breathing room, and a little more freedom to live as you are now. You've earned that freedom not by being perfect, not by checking every box, but by living through decades of love change, pain, and growth. You've made it here, and that alone is enough. So as you move forward, I invite you to do so, not with a heavy load, but with a lighter heart. Let go of what no longer serves you. Reclaim what brings you peace. And remember, it's never too late to feel free in your own life. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.